So working with this file, I wanted to look at how I can add in some effects on this. So I've got the clip in a composition. I had a specific question about rain. There is a simulation in here, rainfall, drizzle. These may give you a look that's kind of a bit much. But that's rainfall on the ground. That might be something you could get onto a ground plane. So that's on there already. So if I wanted to work with something like that, I may be able to make a new solid. I'm going to select this ground color for the solid and add in that effect, CC drizzle. It's got the last one that I made, CC drizzle. Add that on there. There may be an option to show the ground or not, but I could also work with this in a certain way to make this integrate better with my project. So in this timeline here, I've got a few options. I can open these up to show the times of the piece. And some other options in there. This final checkbox over here is a 3D layer box. So if I want to work with this with 3D dimensions, I can click on that 3D checkbox and it actually gives me a Z coordinate to all the options I've got normally. So once I've done that, I might want to just rotate the object so that it kind of fits that ground plane, and I may be able to bring that down onto that ground so it kind of just has a bit of rain, a few raindrops on the ground there. So depending on what kind of rain I was simulating, I may be able to just bring that on that edge there, and that might integrate in the foreground some of these raindrops. So then if I play through it, it's got to re-render all of these, but you'll see those kind of raindrops coming in there. And that's something I can edit as a post-produced piece. I could make this look better if I double-click that solid and take a mask and just mask out a rectangle here. And what I'm going to do is just make sure there's no sharp edges on this. So I'm pressing Apple, Shift and F to bring up the mask feather options, and I'm going to give it a feather of 1000, so that means it will fade off between those edges. No, 100 that was. So within layer, mask feather, I was working with that one there. So I'm in the layer mode here. If I shut that one down, I can see in there that it's actually going to make that work a little bit better with those splashes. I've also got within these modes, I can blend this, so I could screen that on top. No, that's changing the color. If I get the right mode, it should blend that in a little bit neater to how I want that to be. So it's a matter of kind of working with those and just finding the right way of working with that. Soft light might work. That's giving me quite a nice blend and a few little spots coming in that I can change the size of these, how many I come in from the effects tab up here, or if I'm not in that tab, I can do it directly in the timeline here by bringing that up. So that's one way of kind of making ripples on the ground that might work. Depending on your project. So I'm just going to deselect that layer just to see how that blends. So I'd want to work on that color slightly. If I wanted to change the color of that layer, go back, select it, and I've got solid settings, and it may just have been the wrong color, or I may have been able to get a kind of a swatch of that grain that's in there as well. So that may improve it and make that work. So that's an option for you. The other one that I saw that I was working on, I'm just going to do a new solid again. the effect simulation rainfall. This is likely to be more of a downward rainfall, but I can see in there you've got these kind of little white streaks. I don't know if you can see on this. No, can't see on that monitor. But that's doing that on a kind of single plane. If I was to apply that to our main window here, you can see that I've got the rainfall coming into that already, and that's as a post-produced effect going over the top of my work as well. So that's kind of a nice way of doing it. You're not actually having to work with simulated physics with that, but you're getting these streaks of rain, and there's quite a lot of controls you can have on this as well. So if I look at this in the timeline, we've got, to get a bit closer so I can read some of those. So how many drops you're having, what size they are. If you want to have very large drops, depending on how close up you are, different shots might need different sizes. But you can make very large drops. Speed, you can actually slow it right down, so it just kind of fall. If it's more like snow, it would have kind of very light speed, and just have that kind of floating in the air kind of look. And the colour and how that works. Okay, so within After Effects, I selected the composition layer and I went to Effect and Simulation CC Rainfall. If you want to find an effect, there is an effects window. Over here it is, Effects and Presets, that if you're searching for one, you can type in rain and it should show you which one it, no, it's not finding that. There is a way of getting a list up that will allow you to find those individually. If I go to Effects window, Layout, got that one saying rain here. There's a 3D text tool which has got some rain as a title. It's adding, showing me grain as well. But if you want to find a particular filter, you can add that in there, or it will show you all of those from that window. So if I typed in blur, it would come up with blur in this as well. So that's kind of how I would recommend doing rain at this stage, especially in a large scene where you've got a lot of stuff going on. It gives the effect of rain, particularly the rainfall. And if you want to have splashes in a certain scene, you can look at the other one, the raindrops one as well.